Hello and thank you for joining us on our Inauguration Day special of Journalist Hangouts. It's another May 29. Let me start by wishing Nigerians happy Inauguration Day. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu underlines his mission as he steps into second year of his first term as Lagos helmsman. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Yomi Ope. Happy Inauguration Day, Jide.
Yes.
May 29, 21 years ago.
We have every reason to be happy, to celebrate, because we've had uninterrupted years of democracy. The worst form of democratic government is better than the best military government. So God has given us a reason to be grateful, and I am grateful as a Nigerian.
In the last 60 years, we've just had 21 smooth years of a broken democracy, starting from Olusegun Obasanjo that handed over, Abdul Salam handed over to him in a day like this 21 years ago.
It's amazing. I think it's a reason to celebrate. It's a really big reason for Nigerians to at least know that now their voice counts. We live in a civilian administration handing over to another, and it has been a continuous thing for the last 21 years. So we're very thankful for everything, and it's just a big celebration for us, and it continues, as we can see.
So we're waiting till the 12th of June when we celebrate Democracy Day.
Civilians to civilian transition had always been a problem.
Yes.
But in Nigeria, we have surmounted that problem.
Broken that jinx.
We've had successive civilian to civilian transition. Successful ones at that.
Back to back.
It's something to be happy about.
All right, President Muhammadu Buhari and 28 state governors are celebrating the anniversary of their inauguration. We say congratulations to all of them. Journalist Hangout starts now. Thank you for joining us. It's unarguably Nigeria's most critical state, the gateway to the country's economy and its commercial capital. Lagos has set the pace in every developmental parameter in Nigeria. Successive governments in the state have pursued a developmental master plan to make Lagos the #1 in the country. As Nigeria celebrates another inauguration day and 21 years of uninterrupted democracy, the current helmsman, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is striding in that regard. Let's begin with a documentary on his mission to develop Lagos further. Governor Sanwo-Olu attained 1 year in office today, May 29, 2020. Lagos House correspondent Adedoja Salam-Adeniyi spotlights some of the administration's achievements so far.
I, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, do solemnly swear that as the Governor of Lagos State, I will discharge my duties faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law.
That was the administration of his oath of office and secrecy as the 15th Governor of Lagos State and the 6th to be democratically elected. Then his deputy.
I, Kadri Obafemi Hamzat, do solemnly swear that as Deputy Governor of Lagos State. I will discharge my duties faithfully.
May the 29th, 2019 was the beginning of the Sanwo-Olu administration, and their era kicked off amidst pomp and ceremony. Governor Sanwo-Olu's inaugural speech was full of promises. It focused on moving Lagos State forward.
I stand here to ask that you join me to script and fashion this great Lagos with creativity of our minds. Let the genuinity of our hearts, the sweat of our labor, and the compassion that resides in our hearts be committed to this common goal.
As the heavens opened up that historic day, Mr. Sanwo-Olu vowed to improve the quality of lives of the common Lagosian.
Today, I stand before you as your governor, but also as your friend, your brother, your neighbor, and your servant. I stand here to ask that you join me to script and fashion this great Lagos with creativity of our minds.
His administration is anchored on the theme's agenda, which stands for traffic management and transportation, health and environment, education and technology, making Lagos a 21st century economy, entertainment and tourism, security and good governance. Just a day after his inauguration, Governor Sanwo-Olu hit the ground running by first meeting with the civil servants. He opened the floor by releasing 45 brand new buses to aid their mobility to and from the office.
Let us begin to think out of the box. How we're going to bake a bigger cake. Once you bake a bigger cake, it becomes a lot available for a lot of us to eat on. And I will make sure that while you do the work that you are meant to do, your take-home will be taking you home.
Same day, he signed the first executive order tagged Enforcement of Law and Order in respect of traffic and sanitation matters. Mr. Sanwo-Olu announced zero tolerance for environmental abuse, indiscriminate dumping of refuse, construction of drainage points and setbacks. To make recycling easy and to make the environment clean, Lagos State government launched the Blue Box on the 5th of September 2019. Within his first 100 days in office, heaps of refuse disappeared from the streets of Lagos. 1 year after, the Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources told us their achievements.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has fully restored the normal regulatory function in waste management in the state. The well-known PSP operators are back fully, and they are different local government, and the result has been very good in terms of turnaround refuse collection. Major dump sites at Olusoso and Solus, among others, are currently undergoing rehabilitation. The process of waste conversion has fully resumed as well, particularly with the Blue Box program launched by Mr. Governor. So one of the first tasks of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu was to restore the Office of Drainage Services, which is now back and is fully back in control of all our drainages now. And as you can see, many areas suffered the vagaries of flooding because many of the canals were not cleaned or maintained and became refuse dumps, and some maintenance of refuse adore them.
With security being the last leg of its theme's agenda, Governor Sanwo-Olu has taken the security of lives and property of residents as his priority. He has continued to support security agencies with equipment.
Everything that we need to do to ensure that our paramount responsibility, which is the security of life and property, is not only critical to us, but it's something that we will not be paying lip service to.
Governor Sanwo-Olu took the problem of bad roads in Lagos State head-on and met with 8 major construction companies to begin massive road rehabilitation. 116 inner city roads were captured.
Major reconstruction and some palliative work will start immediately in various parts of the state, both on the island, in Ikoyi, Victoria Island, some part of Lekki, also moving to Ikeja, moving to Ikorodu, moving to the GRA, Koshofe, and all nooks and crannies, of Lagos State.
At that time, we were in the rainy season, and we know that from history, when you actually go to site, you probably lose 30 to 40% of the materials. So you lose money. But at the same time, we cannot fold our hands and say, oh, because it's raining, we won't do the road. So we will do roads. So we now call major contractors that are working in the state and said, okay, we've always done that before, so it's not new. How do we work together to make sure that the majority of these roads are not left unattended? And because of also the financial situation, it's not that the state has a lot of money. So go and mobilize the site, then we find a way to work out the payment. And that was what we did.
In December 2019, Mr. Sanwo-Olu delivered the network of 31 strategic roads to the residents of Ojokoro Council in Ifako local government area amid jubilation.
Our business is moving due to the road that the government have done.
It's a very good link road, and I really appreciate the work of the Lagos people.
The newly constructed roads include Akinshola Street, Alhaji Lukman Street, Odun Alayo Street, Edun Alaran Street, among others. The 31 roads also ease the perennial traffic along Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway. In November, Governor Sanwo-Olu flagged off Lagos Island Lekki circulation projects. 4 major roads are being upgraded here, including 7 critical junctions. Itamaga Elepe Town's poor infrastructure also got the government's attention as Governor Sanwo-Olu flagged off 6-kilometer phase 1 of the 11-kilometer Ijede Road. Ishawo Road was not left out.
Very big relief, and I will be happy if they do it for us. Because the sufferness we suffered last 2 months, I will say 3 months ago, this much.
Our business will be easy, going out and into will be easy. So we have a confirmed relief.
It's a road that will have bicycle lane, it will have walkway, right? It will have street lights, it will have pedestrian bridges, and it will also have a dual carriageway on both sides. And we've instructed the contractor on site to help us engage the teeming youth that are here, that they've confirmed to me that they are willing and they are available to work.
Ijede, it's ongoing. Our contractor is on site now, and they are working. And in fact, it's progressing. So we thought, okay, we'll have reached 18%, but they're about 20-something%. So for some reason, it's faster than we thought. So they are putting in a lot of resources. All the others are moving, but also because they're also getting materials from even outside Nigeria. So for example, some of the post-tensioning, the rod that is used to tension the bridge, is not something you get here. So some of it, because of COVID, of course, is delayed. Instead of 6 weeks, it's now probably 10 weeks. But we are still hoping that we'll be able to put everything together. I was at Penn Cinema when they launched the biggest beam. It's a 35-meter beam. 35 meters will be about 10 stories or 9 stories if you stand it vertically. So, and those are the biggest ones that we want to make sure that before rain starts heavily, if you launch the beam, the rest will be easier. And because we still want to target that we can finish that construction by, say, September end, thereabout.
On the 3rd of January, Governor Sanwo-Olu declared open for public use the newly constructed section of Lagos Badagry Highway, fulfilling the promise made at the inception of his administration. The construction of the 4-kilometer section, which stretches from Agboju to Trade Fair, started shortly after the current administration took office.
Front of Trade Fair is unpassable. In fact, the first day we were going, we were in a bus with the governor, everybody. We couldn't pass through. So one of the things that we've been able to do is to fund that road project, make sure that we are hoping that by November this year, well, that was the initial, so hopefully by December this year, they will get to the front of Lasu Gate. So if we are able to get to the front of Lasu Gate, all the 10 lanes, then it means we've done significantly well. So what is now left is from that place to Okokomaiko. As you notice, the road in front of Trade Fair is now completed, it's now passable, and therefore, but remember, it's 10 lanes, so it's huge.
More than 350 roads have been fixed by this administration in the last 1 year.
Public Works Corporation has sectionally rehabilitated 264 roads. If you look at the compendium that they have, you will see those roads listed across LGAs, and they have actually fixed 90 roads.
Also in December, Mr. Sanwo-Olu kicked off the final phase of the Lagos Blue Line Rail project at Ebute. The 27-kilometer Blue Line Rail connecting Okokomaiko to Marina had suffered setbacks since its commencement in 2009 due to poor funding. Work is also ongoing on the Red Line from Agbado to Marina. Governor Sanwo-Olu sought the involvement of the public-private partnership on the green, purple, yellow and orange rail line. Towards the end of the year 2019, the government opened the bid for the 4th mainland bridge. In education, after several unscheduled visits to Lagos primary and secondary schools, the government set up a committee on the rehabilitation of public schools in the state. The declaration of a state of emergency on the education sector necessitated the Special Committee on Rehabilitation of Public Schools in the state. There are more than 1,000 public primary schools and 372 public secondary schools in Lagos State. This committee is to comprehensively address the dilapidation of physical infrastructure in these schools.
I visited a school in Lagos Island. There are 7 children in the class, 7. And so I said, okay, is it just today? And the teacher said, no, it's the way it is. So it means then that there are certain areas we have less number of students per classroom, and in some areas, huge numbers. So which means that our data needs to get better. Where should we build more? So that instead of building in this area, maybe we should be building in another area.
To increase the capacity and development manpower of teachers in the state, Mr. Sanwo-Olu also launched the Eco Excel initiatives, a teachers' professional development and training program. More than 14,000 primary school teachers benefited from the initiative, while more than 500,000 pupils were positively impacted. In health, Governor Sanwo-Olu brought about a renaissance in the state public health sector with the new maternal and child care centers.
For us as a government, what we're also doing here falls in tandem with our economic policy trust, which we have christened our team's agenda, which in the second one talked about health and environment.
As soon as the news of the coronavirus pandemic ravaging China and other parts of the world broke, Lagos State government launched an incident command system on the 3rd of February 2020. The health emergency structure is being set up to help with containment in the unlikely event of outbreak of the virus in the state. On February 27, the well-prepared for coronavirus arrived the shores of Nigeria via Lagos State. It was an Italian who flew into the country via Turkish Airlines. He was isolated and treated at the infectious disease centers in Yaba. He was discharged on the 20th of March, 2020.
We had been observing the outbreak creeping around the world. By the time it left Southeast China, Asia, and moved into the Middle East and to Europe, it was clear at that point in time that Lagos, by virtue of its commercial hub status, needed to pre-arm itself and prepare. So he took complete control of the situation. He is the incident commander on the recommendation of the Ministry of Health and myself as the deputy. He understands COVID inside out. In fact, his knowledge of biosecurity now is quite impressive. And so he knows about all the pillars, he's involved in all the pillars, he manages, advises, he's involved in all the decision making, and he's a hands-on incident commander. And I think it's clear to the Lagosian population that we have a governor that's on top of the situation and in touch with the situation, which is more important.
The state government continues to give blow-by-blow daily reports on the coronavirus in the state, reassuring residents of its readiness to defeat the pandemic.
Our words and our actions reflect the seriousness of this pandemic.
During this period, Babajide Sanwo-Olu and his team have displayed strong and uncommon leadership and gained people's confidence. The governor and his team have shown that Lagos leads the way in matters like these, earning the praise of President Muhammadu Buhari.
The governors of Lagos and Ogun states as well.
The government began an aggressive public awareness campaign, educating the people about the coronavirus and what to do to avoid being infected.
These measures are the following. Residents should observe high standards of personal hygiene and practice social distancing.
The state also fed people who are among the poorest of the poor and the vulnerable during the coronavirus lockdown. In order to cushion the pain of the lockdown, Governor Sanwo-Olu keeps rolling out economic stimulus packages for residents. More than 800,000 households have benefited. More than 1,000 youths were also fed, with palliative items distributed to people living with disabilities.
Wọ́n ṣe ń tọ́jú ẹ̀mí náà, Ọlọ́run á tọ́jú àwọn náà, tọmọtọmọ, Ọlọ́run á tọ́jú wọn, ìyanu Ọlọ́run, ògo Jésù.
Lagos State government continues to review its strategy in the fight against the coronavirus. Residents were urged to limit social gatherings, and some civil servants were mandated to work from home, even before the federal government imposed the first phase of total lockdown. Even while the state grappled with the COVID-19 pandemic, on the 15th of March, a massive gas explosion rocked the Abule Shoba area of the state, killing at least 15 people and destroying property worth millions of naira. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu speedily set up a high-profile committee to investigate the remote and immediate causes of the explosions. Mr. Governor also announced a 2 billion emergency relief fund for the victims. The state government immediately released 250 million naira to provide instant relief to victims of the explosion. Yet there has been no let-up in government's war against the coronavirus pandemic.
and they would be able.
To further cushion the effects of the lockdown, the Lagos State government on the 4th of April 2020 announced free medical services for pregnant women, people with health emergencies.
Lagos State government will, for the duration of this lockdown, at the first instance throughout the month of April, we will take full responsibility for the medical bills of all patients who fall under the following category, and they present themselves at all our secondary health facilities, meaning our 27 general hospitals and the maternal and child health facilities that we have around the states. Emergencies, casualties, cases including registration, laboratory tests, surgeries will be treated free of charge. Maternity cases, all pregnant women that have to do delivery in this month of April, either cesarean or normal delivery, will also be attended to free of charge.
The state took full responsibility for the medical bills of all patients who fall under this category in all the 27 general hospitals and the maternal and child health facilities. On March the 28th, the Lagos State government and the financial institution unveiled the 110-bed isolation center. The isolation center was sited on the main bowl of the Mobolaji Olufunso Johnson Stadium in Onikan. Another 118-bed isolation and treatment center at Bagada General Hospital was inaugurated on 1st of May to mark Workers' Day. This brings the number of isolation and treatment centers in the state to 5. The state government had in April inaugurated a 70-bed treatment and isolation center at Landmark Exhibition Center in Etiosa local government area. On the 6th of April, Lagos State government commenced a house-to-house case identification scheme to detect possible cases of COVID-19. So far, the state has tested more than 18,000 since the outbreak of the pandemic in Nigeria, the highest in the country. The cost of testing a patient ranges from 40,000 naira to 50,000 naira. It is free for patients as government bears the cost. Efforts are on to get the cost burden reduced through insurance or donation by aid partners. In a bid to slowly reactivate the economy and projecting into the post-COVID-19 era against the current realities, the Lagos State Executive Council approved a review of the state's 2020 budget. The proposed breakdown of the revised budget is a reduction of the total budget size by 21% from 1.168 trillion naira to 920.469 billion naira, with the financial deficit increasing slightly by 11% from 97.533 billion naira to 108.005 billion naira. The aim is to optimize the state's budget for investments in jobs and priority sectors through job creation, economic stabilization, and fiscal consolidation.
Let's use this window of opportunity.
As the global community races against time to eventually halt the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, Lagos has continued to enhance capacity, showing optimism that coronavirus can be defeated by adopting the right methods. More patients are being discharged, isolation centers are being built, sample collection centers are now decentralized to local government councils in the state.
Part of the things that we want to immediately begin to implement.
The objective of the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration is to eventually halt the spread of the coronavirus and put one of Africa's fastest growing cities back on track of growth, development, and assured prosperity. As part of the activities marking the 2019 National Women's Conference of Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Council, under the theme Unlearn, Learn and Relearn 21st Century's Women's Themes Perspective Approach, women whose works and activities empowered the less privileged were honored at the events. Council also presented cars and house gifts to star prize winners of the 2019 raffle draw participants. To Femi, working with Jide is great.
Good guy, great guy. He's just a good guy, that's it. No, seriously, it's an intelligent man, and he listens a lot to different ideas. He's calm, and he's a great guy.
Some residents bared their minds on Babajide Sanwo-Olu's first 365 days in office.
With the recent outbreak of coronavirus, it made us to know that we have a governor that is for the people. The way he handled it. He has behaved as a father, in Lagos State, making sure that the people are safe and secure. Yes, in the area of education also, there is always room for improvement, but from what I've seen, it made me believe that in the next 3 years, we'll be happy that we have Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu as governor of Lagos.
They've been trying. Based on the former project of road construction, we could see some loopholes has been really managed, and some places that need to be amended have been amended. But on the second part of it, which I really want him to concentrate, is security.
I think he should work more on transportation. Yes, because if the economy is open now, you see a lot of people stranded at the bus stop at different hours. So if we could bring more, fine, I really commend him. He's doing a good job with the new BRT and all that. Basically, should bring more of it and to help the masses.
Many residents are looking forward to better infrastructure, resuscitation of Lagos housing scheme, Lagos homes, employment opportunities, better health care, especially at the primary health care level, and improved traffic management and transportation that will reduce travel time and stress in Lagos, the boisterous city that never sleeps. Adedoja Salam-Adeniyi, BBC News, Lagos.
Thank you, Adedoja Salam-Adeniyi, for that comprehensive documentary on the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in the last 365 days. I'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Lagos is a city brimming with about 20 million inhabitants. So caring for the well-being of such a huge population is Herculean. But the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is driving the vision to provide sound health care and sustainable environment in Lagos. Let's get down to business as the governor joins us from the State House in Marina. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Governor.
Well, thank you very much, Ayo. It's nice to be with you and Babajide.
I want to congratulate you, Mr. Governor. It's great. It's a great feeling to hang out with you again. And what will be your focus as you go into the second year? Just 2 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. The focus is still in tandem with our economic agenda, which is driven by our project teams, which is traffic management and transportation, health and environment, education, Lagos 21st century economy, entertainment and tourism, security and good governance. It's still within those parameters of economic engagement that will drive all of our policies into the second year, right? And each and every one of them are things that we're focusing on. We're looking at which areas have we done fairly well, which areas have we done below average? Which areas are we at par? I mean, so we're ranking ourselves and we're reviewing where we are currently, and that's what is going to propel the kind of things we see in the next 1 year going forward. So it's really still keeping with our economic agenda. It's what has been driving our processes thus far, and those are the things that will also drive it in the next 12 to 24 months.
Okay, talking about the health sector now, let's start by congratulating you for the aggressive approach to defeating coronavirus. How has it been fighting a war you never saw coming?
Well, I mean, it's true that it's a war we never expected coming, but we were a bit lucky because this type of pandemic had come around in 2014. Not at this stage, not with the same level that we've seen now, but more importantly is the kind of resource and the kind of human capital we're able to put together very quickly. And so that has helped us to understand the pathogens and the prognosis of the virus more. But I think for me personally, it's really not what the pandemic is costing us right now, is what we do post the pandemic, is what we do post-COVID. What kind of lessons have we learned, and how do we take that forward? What are the new things that we're going to do differently to ensure that even when such things come up again, we will be better prepared, better equipped to reflect, and to be able to tackle it. And what do I mean? Right, we need to look at our infrastructure, right? What is the level of our infrastructure right now, and where should we be taking it to? We need to look at technology around data. Data shows clearly that we're not done very well, even as a country, around data. So we need to look at that. We need to look at our funding, finance and funding. How well have we done in terms of funding in that sector? And finally, we need to look at something around health insurance, because sustainability is also very important. You can have all the infrastructure, you can have all the funding. If you don't have a means of sustaining it, it becomes a challenge. And so that's why training and retraining of your staff is also an important model. So these are some of the things that we need to put in the perspective going forward to ensure that we can better prepare for pandemics like this or diseases like this if it does happen in the future again. But a lot has been learned. A lot has been learned, as the incident commander. A lot has been learned as a state. All of us individually and collectively, right? And we're still learning it because we're not out of it yet, right? But at least we know how the pathogens present itself. We know how it works. We know what are the things we need to look at. And so we are better communicating with ourselves, and we know what kind of things we need to do. And these are some of the strategies we're putting in place.
Mr. Governor, let us talk about the costs of conducting the coronavirus test. It is said to be in the region of 50,000 per patient. This is very huge in these lean times, and I really sympathize with you over the situation that you found yourself. The question I want to ask is, how far have you gone in getting corporate concerns to help you take away some of the burden of not just conducting this expensive test, but even managing the patients in your care?
Solution centers.
Well, thank you very much. I think we've been fairly lucky in Lagos, and transparently we've been able to communicate and acknowledge everybody that has supported us, starting with the federal government of Nigeria. And on the 1st of this May, we did a full 2-page advert, showing everybody that has supported us financially or otherwise. But it's still not enough, because the cost of keeping tab of this pandemic, because we are the epicenter, is enormous. Like you've rightly said, the cost of testing, for example, nobody has been asked to pay any dime. right? And because it's a public health issue, right, we feel government has a responsibility to its citizens to continue to provide that level of service. And everybody we're testing are the people that have to be tested, you know, because you have to be tested, and it's a public health, government, this is a time where government needs to come through for its citizens and be able, you know, to earn, you know, that respect for its citizens. So for us, it's an expense that we will need to continue to bear. It's an expense that we need to carry. But I must say that we've gotten tremendous support from organized private sector. A lot of them have come forward. We will still do with a lot of further support. Like I said, federal government started, you know, the support with us, and a few of the corporate organizations too have done excellently well. But we can still do with all of the support that we can get. Because part of the things people don't know is not only are we treating or managing a patient, even all of our frontline staff, we're taking care of them. Not allowance or hazard allowance or bonuses, no. Even we're housing them, we're keeping them in places where they need to be safe. After finishing work, they don't just go to their families. We put them in hotels where some of them have been there for over 2 months, and we continue to manage and carry these expenses. You know, is it sustainable? It's difficult to say, you know, but at least for us to be able to keep tab of this pandemic, these are some of the expenses that we needed to carry, you know, at the first instance.
Now, Mr. Governor, thank you, sir. The symptoms of coronavirus, you know, has been likened to fever, common cold, and things that a lot of people are familiar with. Now, the use of herbal medicine is on the rise among our people in Lagos State. And most people are resorting to indiscriminate use of herbal medications to treat symptoms. Now, this is a danger that might end up in increasing the community transmission of coronavirus. Now, what is the government doing to help regulate this and also sensitize the public about the danger of this kind of medication and self-medication in this very critical period, sir?
Thank you very much. You see, so we both have a role to play, both yourselves and ourselves. Communication is the word. Enlightenment is the other thing that we need to do. Right? We should not stop at anything to ensure that we continue to educate our people. Right? Whilst herbal medicine might in itself not be a bad thing, but who is giving you a dosage? Who is giving you the dosage to say you need to take either 2 spoons or half a glass or a full glass? I mean, so that's the danger. So if you don't even have the right measure, a lot of people take some of these medications differently, and it can affect other organs in your body. Your kidney can be affected, your liver can be affected, because different people have different levels of breaking down of acids or acidity that comes with some of these medications. Right. So that's why people need to be properly schooled. People need to be informed. People need to be enlightened that you cannot self-medicate. You cannot self-medicate on any of these lines. Yes, maybe there has been some history around, yes, we need to go indigenous, but who is prescribing it for you? You cannot go to the market and just buy herbs together and determine you're going to finish a whole glass or you're going to finish half a glass. You know, what if you are overdosing yourself and you begin to self-medicate? We can only but continue to educate our people. We'll continue to ensure that communication is key. Advocacy is important. And so that's why all of our health practitioners, they make sure that they tell our citizens, and we are on the radio, on the TV, and all of you that also in the media space. Let's just all rise up at this point in time, and let's be able to, tell our people that we cannot self-medicate. You need to go to the hospitals. You need to do your test. You need to let us be able to take care of the medication that you require. The beauty of it is people have gone into isolation, they've breathed themselves up, and over 80 to 90% of them have gotten well. So it goes to show that in itself, it's not a death sentence, right? We have over 4,000 positivity in Lagos. The total death we have recorded is just about 50. So meaning it's just about 1.3%. You know, so in terms of fatality, at least for us in Lagos, it's not so bad. So meaning that there's something that we're doing right, and the medications we're giving people makes them get well. So you should just present yourself and let the health practitioners do their own job. That would be my advice, and all of us can be on the same page and ensuring that we communicate rightly to our citizens.
Mr. Governor, how has the coronavirus pandemic impacted on your budgetary projections and your desire to improve the health sector in Lagos State?
Well, thank you. So it has happened in two ways. First, the pandemic generally has affected the access to revenue, not only as a state, but nationally. You've seen a drop in the oil price globally, right? So it has affected everybody right across the value chain, right? So for us as the government, we've been very proactive, and we've looked at what are the sources of revenue that we have. We realize that both our IGR and our statutory transfers from the Federation account are depleting. They actually would further go down. So the very prudent thing to do is to look at our budget and ask ourselves, which lines, where can we make savings? Where can we make a lot of belt tightening? What expenses can we defer? What excesses can we cut? What wastages, if any, can we do away with? What are those things that we can deny ourselves of now so that we can meet, you know, the very critical expenses that we require? So what we've done is that we've reduced our budget size by about 20-21%, and we've sent the documents to the House of Assembly. I imagine that they'll be looking at it, and if they pass, and when they do pass it, that means that our budget will be coming down from about 1.17 trillion to about 920 billion. But one thing we've also done is that it's only the health family, it's only the health budget that we've increased, even in this new budget that we've amended. And why have we done that? We realize that, yes, even in the earlier budget, we have about 12-13% that we've created for health, but we believe we're even going to be spending more. So proactively, we're putting more money in the health sector, both on the capital expenditure and the recurrent expenditure, so that we can be in a better position to treat all our citizens that are either fall sick or get to be positive, but more importantly, build, have a roadmap where you can begin to improve and increase the infrastructure that we have in our health, in our various health institutions, and also begin to see how we bring data in health management, how we use telemedicine in health management, how we wrap up, you know, our health insurance scheme. Everything in the health sector, we're looking at it holistically, and we know that we need to increase the funding in that sector. And that's what is in the new revised budget that we'll send to the House.
Okay, away from coronavirus now, how do you intend to improve the quality and quantity of healthcare delivery in these states amidst dwindling revenue?
Well, I mean, like I said, to improve the quality and the quantity, you need finance. You need to improve the budgetary allocation to that space. What we had planned before was that year on year, we'll be increasing the percentage of our budget to meet the WHO and the global figures, which is about 18 to 20%. I'm not sure we're going to meet 20% this year, but that's a plan, and we're on the track to do that. Once we realize that we're funding it properly, right, we must ensure that they can also utilize the fund that you've put, because the budget is just a provision. You must be in a position to be able to draw down and expense it. So what are the things we'll be doing? We'll look at our current level of secondary health institutions we have, about 27 of them. We're actually opening 2 more MCCs in the next 2-3 weeks. So it will wrap it up at about 29-30. So we'll look at what we currently have at the existing ones. Where can we improve the current infrastructure there? you know. The next thing we need to do is look at the training and retraining of our health personnel. What are the skills that are lacking in that sector? How can we scale up the training there? That's number 2. Number 3 is what other means can we bring into the health facility? Like I said, data is important. Telemedicine is also a way to go, right? So access to data must be something that they must have, right? Telemedicine must also be something that they can also implement, right? And thirdly, how do we also wrap up our health insurance scheme? So these are some things that will make health accessible and affordable to our citizens. We've got about 377 primary health institutions. One of the ways to also drive it is that let's wrap up, you know, treatment at our primary health facilities. Not everybody needs to come to the secondary health facility. So we're wrapping up competence and capacity at the primary health institutions, right? We have about 60, 65 of them that we call grade A PHCs now. Let's see if we can push another 100 to 120, you know, in that level where they need to be doing a 24/7 shift. So it's not a primary health that will do 8 to 5. It must be a primary health facility that can do a 24/7 round-the-clock services. So we need to wrap up skills and training there, make sure that the space and the ambience they are working, and the few equipments they require to be able to treat simple things as malaria, you know, simple surgeries and do proper, birth attendance, birth deliveries in pregnancies that do not need complications and also simple things so that it will reduce the pressure coming from our secondary health facilities.
We go to housing now, Mr. Governor. I want to talk about the Lagos home scheme. Some of the people who bidded for houses have still not received allocations up till now. The question I want to ask is, when will those raffle draws resume in Lagos? And secondly, how do you want to improve, solve the housing problems in Lagos?
Okay, thank you very much. So you have different pockets of users or needs in the housing sector. There is a middle upper market, there is a lower upper market, there is a middle market, and there is the ones below the middle market. So in all of the strata, there's a housing shortage. Yesterday, for example, we commissioned about 260 flats of 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 1-bedroom in the Etiosa axis of Lagos State. So these were developments that were done with some of our developers, and these have been delivered with the commission. Today, this morning, we also virtually commissioned 360 at Odonosa in the Ikorodu. We also virtually commissioned 256 at Badagry. I mean, virtual meaning that we did not go there physically, but we commissioned them, through virtual means today. And these are all 1-bed, 2-bed, and 3-bed. So you can see even from my explanation, we're doing commissioning at 3 different areas of Lagos State that has different needs of people. The Lekki axis, you can see, is the middle to upper income strata. So they see flat from the end range of 20 million to as high as 50 million. In Ikorodu and Badagry, that I said, we also commissioned today. You've seen 1-bed and 2-bed that will range from between 8 million to 15 million, right? So some of them are in different buckets, and we're going to be handing over to the Lagos mortgage scheme. Like you've said, Babajide, we have a lot of people that are on the queue that either have deposited a small amount waiting for us to complete this estate, and now that they've been completed, they can hand them over to them. Earlier in the year, we commissioned and we handed over about 490 at the Latif Jakonde Housing Estate at the Igondo. That is also 1 bed, 2 bed, and 3 bed. So going forward, we have about another 6 or 7 that we're hoping that will commission before the end of this year. Some at Iponri in Surulere, some at Shongotedo in towards the after Aja towards the Ibejuleki axis, some at Ibishe, also at the Ikorodu axis of Lagos State, and all of them are different levels of completion. So what usually happens with the Lagos homes, like that you mentioned, is earlier. I mean, when I said earlier, a couple of years back, the awareness was not there. So we usually do raffle draw to encourage people to. But now we have a lot more people that are waiting on these houses, right? That have either had to even pay ahead before we complete these houses. So we do not need to do those extensive raffle draws again. What we need to do is to very quickly be able to complete those houses and then hand over the keys to the citizens who have indicated interest in these various schemes. And part of the things that we're looking at, with the Lagos Home is to still continue to give them what we call the mortgage scheme. So LBIC is working with them, and we'll have 1 or 2 other financial institutions. Sterling Bank has been doing a great job in that area to be able to provide between 5 to 10 years mortgage to some of these. So it's ongoing, and we're doing it, right? The ones that have been commissioned today are available, for the citizens to take, right? But when are we going to be able to satisfy the millions and millions of people that we have in Lagos? Well, I mean, it's a challenge for us, and housing becomes something that we need to look in and be able to, but we need to be able to face frontally. But we cannot do it on our own. We need also to engage the private sector, right? Because we don't have all of the monies to do this thing, right? And so we're speaking to a lot of medium to high-income developers, and we're resolving all of the very tiny issues that we have around titles and all of it. And we're hoping that we can wrap up our aggressive housing delivery in the next couple of months and in another 1 year from now.
Now, Mr. Governor, we want to quickly touch on the environment. Now, the rains are here again, and we all know that Lagos experiences perennial flooding, and even the meteorological agency has said that we're going to experience more flooding this year than in 2019. How ready are we this time to handle the issue of flooding in Lagos State?
Well, I mean, to say that ready is to continue to push the envelope. Right now, we've cleared over 390 primary and tertiary drains. Right. So what do I mean by primary and secondary drains? Right. The big major drains are the primary drains, which are the ones that discharge to the lagoon. We have about 22 of them. Right now, we're clearing and we're extending, the trapezoidal construction on some of them, right? And like I said, we're working about 390 different locations. We've started about 2.5 months ago, and as I speak, they are there desilting, removing all of the debris and removing all of the blockages at each of these drainage channels. How well are we prepared? Well, we're prepared to the extent that Lagos is still below the sea level, right? That it will flood, it will flood, because, like I said, we're below the sea level, right? But what happens after the flooding is that we need to have our gangs out there and be able to very quickly desilt again, right? In 3-4 hours, the waters will recede, back into the lagoon, right? As you go in, if you understand and you watch, and how water moves, there'll be a time in the day where the water bodies will even rise. When it rises, you cannot do anything. It will not receive anything. It's only later in the day when it goes down that it can take the flows from all of these major drainages, right? So Lagos is actually below the sea level, right? And so you need to also help us communicate that effectively. So we will continue to see flash floods here and there. Our responsibility is to ensure that once those floods comes in and we don't have blocked drainages, they will go down in 2-3 hours. They will just, it's a natural flow. It will flow out and it will get back into the lagoon. Lagos is about 2/3 of Lagos is surrounded by water. You know, so it's a natural thing that we cannot do anything about, right? And we'll continue to build more drainage channels. We'll continue to ensure that people that build on our drainage channels will demolish them, because we cannot afford people to become reckless and build on our drainage channels or restrict, you know, the flow of water, right? So we're ready, right? We've been deploying our various drainage gangs for the past 2.5 months, right? And this morning, I still spoke to them. We've gotten about 10 different gangs of about 50 each, you know, and so they are all out there. The rain that we saw yesterday, about 4 or 5 gangs went out to desilt, to ensure that they remove all of the blockages we have at our various manholes. But it's also an opportunity for us to tell our citizens. We've talked about people dumping refuse on inside the gutter, dumping refuse on the drainage channels. People must desist from this. People must ensure that they also dispose of their refuse properly. Right. I mean, there's nothing you can do if you continue to clear and people continue to, you know, misbehave and don't have a proper waste disposal culture. You continue to come back to the same thing year on year. So both of us have a role to play, you know. And so for us as a government, we will not shy away from ours. We're out there, we're cleaning it, we're desilting, and we're building more drainage channels. We're building more drainage channels as we speak.
Mr.
And
Governor.
so we're ready for the rain. We're believing that, I mean, once it's come, we'll have the gangs on the ground that will go out there and ensure that anywhere there are blockages, we'll carry. Because once we remove the blockages, it's a natural flow, right? The way the drainages have been built, they're trapped so that they will flow naturally into the lagoons, right? So it's only when you have blockages that you can see flooding holding on for a long time. And we've done a lot of improvement on our road. To date, in the last 1 year, we've touched over 450 roads, either major roads or the ones that are in our inner roads. So these are part of the plans we have, and I can see it. You're even showing some of them. We're still out there working.
Mr. Governor, transportation in Lagos remains a nightmarish experience. Now, with your outright ban on Okada, you know, because of the COVID-19, how close is the state to ending this or having a significant reduction? Yes, we're talking about, you know, transportation remaining a nightmarish experience in Lagos. How close is the state to ending this or having a significant reduction?
Well, thank you very much, Ayo. You've taken the word. It is significant reduction. If you can hear me,
yes,
significant reduction that we do. This is a massive city. You know, it's a city that only the road transportation would not solve it. Not until when we push on our rail infrastructure, which we are, which I can still talk about. Not until when we also push people on our waterways that will relieve the pressure on the road, right? And we'll continue to build and build the roads. If you look at it, Lagos have a vehicular density that is next to none in the whole country. Right? And so one of our strategy is to ensure that we'll continue to reduce the traffic gridlocks. We have several traffic gridlocks in Lagos, and you can see, and I can mention 5, 6, 7, 8 that we've done. Today alone, we've had to open up the traffic improvement we have at Maryland. You'll notice that we've removed some statues that are Maryland. We'll remove it. We're doing traffic improvement at Allen Roundabout. We've removed the roundabout. Yes. We have removed traffic gridlock at the first roundabout and the second roundabout in Lekki. Yeah. We've removed the roundabout in Aja. So these are all traffic improvements we're doing. In Ejigbo, the Ejigbo roundabout at Ikotun, we have removed it as well. So these are all of the efforts at ensuring that we reduce, journey time, and we have a better expression for our people. But in terms of transportation, because it's different from traffic management, in terms of transportation, not only when Lagos sees, more movement on the waterways, more movement on our rail, which we are on, which is on track, which we're hoping that one of them will be up in less than 2 years from now, right? That we can begin to see massive movement of people, from one part of the city to another. Just this morning again, we commissioned, or we handed over virtually the Ebute Metta terminus. That is supposed to be a major traffic hub. It will be a hub for our rail corridor on the red line when we start, but it's also a major traffic corridor for our BRT lane. That also has been handed over, today. Right. So to say that we will solve the whole traffic problem in Lagos will amount to saying that we've solved every problem in Lagos. No, but we're on the road path to ensure that we reduced journey time for our citizens. We've recruited more people from LASMA. Over 1,000 new LASMA officers have joined us in the past 1 year, right? And they're closing very late. They're ensuring that they're doing shifts that can ensure that not until when a significant part of our citizens are off the road before they also take the time off. So these are some of the things we're doing to ensure that people have better traffic experience on our road. And by the way, you will be seeing that all of our effort around the BRT, bus rapid train, the Abule Egba Oshodi BRT lane will be unveiling and will be commissioning it in another 2-3 weeks once our buses are out. We're hoping to disperse, to deploy about 150 to 200 high capacity buses on that route. So these are some of the major highways that we've planned out, and this will start in another 2-3 weeks, like I said.
These days, Lagos streets are dark, unlike when we had the Light Up Lagos initiative of the previous administration. Is the current situation a repudiation of the Light Up Lagos project, Mr. Governor?
I didn't get a question again. Please repeat that question.
Yes, I was talking about Lagos light projects, that these days Lagos streets are dark, unlike when we had the Light Up Lagos initiative on the previous administration. Is the current situation a repudiation of the Light Up initiative?
I think it's also not fair. I take the point that we need to do a lot more. In the past 1 year, right, we've increased our streetlight initiative, and so what we're doing is we're actually doing a lot of retrofitting. We're changing, the streetlight bulbs from high energy consumption to low LED bulbs that will last longer and will stay longer on our poles. In the last 1 year alone, we've increased by about 100 kilometers of additional street lights that we've deployed, right? And in the next 6 months or so, we're hoping to increase that by another 150 to 200 kilometers. So, but what you see is the cost of maintenance of some of these things. So we're working with the distribution companies. A lot of these street lights you see are being powered by generators. So you look at the cost of diesel, you look at even the ages of these generators. Some of them needs to be changed. Some of them have been on for 4 or 5 years, and so they need to be changed. But we're having conversations with the distribution companies. And so that conversation is to ensure that how do they come up and ensure that they can power some of these street lights. The street lights are there, so it's really around the maintenance initiative that we have. And like I said, some of these ones we need to retrofit them. Some of them we need to take the generators out and bring new generators that can power, these street lights. But like I said, the plan really is to bring low energy consumptions, low energy street lights that will not consume the amount of diesel and will not need the size of generators that we see that we're just littering everywhere. I've had to decommission over 20 generators already because of the retrofitting we're doing. The retrofitting has low energy consumption and they last longer. So that's one of the things. But like I said, we're having extensive discussion with the distribution company, and they've said to us that they're willing to partner with us, and they'll be able to guarantee, that the lights will be on from 6 o'clock in the evening till 6 o'clock in the morning.
My question is a very simple one, Mr. Governor. Many Nigerians are excited about the light rail project, and they simply can't wait. When do you project that this project will come on stream?
Well, thank you very much. So the light rail projects are two of them. There's the blue line, which we've been on for a couple of years, and there's a red line that's also coming up. The blue line is the one that passes from, which is Lagos West, from Okokomaiko. It will get to Mile 2, and it will eventually get to Marina. It's the one that you've seen we've completed the water crossing on the Lagos Lagoon beside Eco Bridge. That's when we've completed the level crossing. Where we are now, we're the last phase of stretching it to Marina. Once we complete it to Marina, we'll start what we call a first test, which will be from Mile 2, first to Orile, and eventually to Marina once the terminal in Marina is completed. We're hoping that that will come on stream before the end of next year. It takes a while for you to be able to finish signalization and ensure that all the tracks are working well. They will start testing sometime next year, all right? But the train will not start until towards the end of next year. That is the blue line, right? Okay. But we also still need to be able to raise finance to now be able to complete the phase 2 of it, which is from Mile 2, which will take it back to Okokomaiko. It's a total of about 30 kilometers once it's completed. But the other one that is very interesting, which we believe we might even come quicker as compared to the number of years we spend on the blue line, is the red line. The red line is the existing rail corridor, right, which federal government is also working on, which is from Lagos to Ibadan. But we are taking it back, right? We're starting from Ebute Metta, and we're using the old rail corridor that we all grew up in Lagos to know, which will take from Ebute Metta to Yaba, to Jibowu, to Mushin, to Ilupeju, to Ikeja, to Agege, and it finally ends up at Agbadowoke. This is about 37 kilometers. So what we're doing now is we have the right of way. We need to lay another track beside the track that the federal government is laying. Because it's also at grid, we believe that it will be faster and quicker to be able to deploy the red line. Part of the challenge that we'll have will just be the bridge crossing of the various vehicles and which is about 7 sections, right? So that we're signing off the contract in the next 1 month or so. And the discussion we're believing is that in 2 years, or maximum 2.5 years, in the life of our government, right, we will see also the red line come on stream. So our promise to Lagosians is both the blue line and the red line will come on stream before the end of our first term, which is in 3 years' time in the life of this government. Rail construction is tough, right? It has a lot of resource that we committed to it. In fact, we're the only subnational anywhere that is taking a rail project by itself. Everywhere you've seen in the world, people talk about rail in Rwanda, they talk about rail in Kenya, people talk about rail in Ethiopia. These are all rail projects that are taken up by the country. We are a subnational, but we're audacious to say that we will build the rail. And that's what we're committed to, and that's what we're doing. Right? It eats into a lot of our resources. It's the same way you've asked me what we're going to do with health. It's the same way you've asked me what are we going to do with environment. It's the same way you've asked me what are we going with power. So it's the same resource that we're going to be using creatively to ensure that we can deliver on all of these very important infrastructure projects. And so a lot of creativity are coming to it. How do we raise finance to be able to do these things?
Thank you, Mr. Governor.
And so we're committed, and we're believing that we will do it.
All right, we want to look at another critical sector to Lagos State, being such a highly populated state. Security, that's a very big issue for our state. And looking at the past 1 year, can you talk to us about what you've been able to do in the area of security in Lagos State and what you're looking at doing over the next year, in the second year of your administration?
Thank you very much. Security is everybody's business. But as a governor, I have a primary responsibility to continue to ensure that Lagos remains safe and secure for all of its citizens. So in the last 1 year, precisely, we've seen a more motivated Lagos State Police Command. And what have we done? We've given to them, we've handed over to them, we've constructed and handed over to them 2 brand new area command. We've handed to them an area command at Ibeshe, and Lagos West Senatorial District, and we've handed to them another area command at Elemoro, on the Lekki-Epe Expressway towards Epe. These are brand new area command, and it comes with all of the trappings. We've built for them hostel accommodation, trading ground, dormitories, dining room, and fully furnished office accommodation for the police. Apart from that, in the last 1 year, we've given them 140 vehicles. That's to the command and to the RRS. We've provided for them over 100 bicycles. We've bought for them equipment, Motorola communication gadgets. We've been able to secure for them 1,000 CUG lines that they can communicate amongst themselves. We've kitted over 2,000 men of RRS, each man taking brand new uniform and all sorts and other compartments, hats and boots and everything that they require, all to the Lagos State Police Command. Outside of this, we also have our neighborhood watch. We need to rekit our neighborhood watch all over again, about 8,000 of them. And you can see all of them everywhere, but they cannot carry arms. But they've been helping and supporting in intelligence gathering and monitoring, and passing on this monitoring to the Lagos State Police Command. So we're complementing each other, and we're ensuring that everything they require, right, will continue to provide for them. The Security Trust Fund, which is also our umbrella with a partnership with the private sector, has also raised a lot of money. And we're not only supporting the Nigerian police, we're supporting other arms of security, including OP Mensa, including the Marine Police, including civil defense, and all the other security operatives in the state. So we're working with them, and we're working. They've not seen it with the level we've given them in the last 1 year, and I dare say so. And so we're expecting that we'll still see a police command that is motivated. We're supporting them with a lot of allowances. We're buying PMS. We're fueling their vehicles. We're ensuring that the little equipment that they require to continue to discharge their responsibility that we're providing for them. I will not stop at that, right? I still have vehicles that are still, with me. Once we see that there's a need for additional vehicles, again, we'll pass it on to them. I still got about 40, 50 vehicles that I'm waiting for them at the right time to give to them. So beyond vehicles and buying equipment and buying communication gadgets for them, we're also supporting them with training. Each time they come up with a request for training or capacity development, we'll make the funds available for them. Right. In the course of the year, too, we also hosted the biggest security summit, which was hosted by the Inspector General of Police himself. He brought to Lagos the entire formation of the Nigerian police force, and they were in Lagos for 5 days. And we worked with them to ensure that all their thoughts and around ensuring that Nigeria is safer, we support them. So we know what our responsibilities are with security, and we do not take security, we don't take it as a joke at all. And we're committed, and we believe that we'll continue to work with them going forward.
It's the Inauguration Day special with Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, marking his 365 days in office. I'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll wrap up.